Good morning, good evening, and welcome back to War Thunder. For today's video, we are going to be taking out the M3 Bradley for a few games. Now, as you know, I've been away for a few months now, and yeah, if you know why I'm gone. Anyways, I'm on my Christmas break, and I have the opportunity to record a few videos. So we're gonna start off with the M3 Bradley. Now, I've seen a lot of talk about how this thing is basically the worst tank in the game, that it just sucks. But it's definitely not the worst tank. Um, it's not the best tank, but again, it's nowhere close to being the worst thing at 8.3. Starting off with the armament, you basically have two kind of ways to kill enemies, like almost every other IFV. You have your AT gems. In this case, you have toes. Not the best, but again, not the worst, in my opinion. And it's my problem with them, or that they can be quite unreliable. Sometimes you will just nuke tanks with them, and otherwise you will just like shoot them for 15 times and they just don't die. But they're not super good, but they're not super bad, just kinda in the middle of the pack. But what really sets this tank apart for me is the 25mm Bushmaster. At top tier, yes, 25mm Bushmasters are kinda painful, but at A3 they're very good. You have 80mm of penetration with them. It doesn't sound like a lot, but your playstyle with this will be to flank enemies and shoot them from the side and rear, and 80mm then is more than enough. Mobility wise, it's very good. You have 77 forward, 16 backwards. Very good mobility, so it allows you to get to the sides of the enemies where you actually can kill them. Armor, yeah, it's basically non-existent. You can survive MGs and a few autocannon rounds, but then you're dead. So you really want to avoid being hit. But that's basically the gist of the M3. Playstyle, wanna play fast on the flanks, avoid being hit, use your autocannon for most things, and when you can't kill them, use your toe. But with that out of the way, I'm gonna avoid talking for too much. Now let's get into actual gameplay. Please help. Okay, so the first game was on fields of Poland. I decided to take the tank to the side, just up on this hill to see if we could catch any tanks unaware and not really paying attention. We did catch a Clovis, and just when looking and scouting through the binos, I see a more heavily armored tank, and I could stay and try to guide a tow on him, but I just don't want to sit out in the open still. So I decided to retreat and take a better angle up onto the point. Now, getting a better angle, it turned out it wasn't heavily armored at all. It turned out to be a swing fire. Again, definitely dangerous, but a tow to his cupola will overpressure him. And that means the flank for now is secure, so we could move up further. Now, plan was to move up to the houses and the windmill and start picking off enemy targets from the second wave. So the plan was basically to just go up here and start picking off the enemies before they can get into any sort of cover.
Target, cease fire!
Here you can see that even though we basically don't have any armor, it will save you from time to time if it is at the right range and the armor is angled. But you should definitely not be relying on the armor on this thing. Now I did decide to move further up the hill and plant myself on the steep point for a few reasons. First off, the repairs will be quicker and I will be able to replenish my tow anti-tank missiles. I will also be able to get better shots at the guys trying to push up towards C. Plus I will have angles into the B point plus the hill at D5, D6, which is a very common camping spot in later parts of the game.
Another zone captured, we have the advantage. Target, cease fire!
And this is the main reason I decided to go up towards this, because you are able to get very good angles on the enemy tanks, and
Target, cease fire!
yeah, you're just able to support your friendly push through the town a lot easier from here. Now a tip I have for you when playing the Bradley, especially when you're fighting the Russians, which you are going to be facing quite often. When you're facing a T-55 and T-54 series, you need to be very careful when you have their side, because you can't basically penetrate them from the side. It's gonna be a 50-50 whether you're gonna be able to penetrate them from the side, unless you're basically point blank at a 0-degree angle. You need to be very careful, and when you're using your toes, you need to use them way more aggressively at close quarters when fighting these sort of tanks to guarantee basically doing some damage. So just a tip for you, think of this: when you're fighting Russia, use your toes way more aggressively. When you're fighting basically any other nation, you can use your toes more sparingly, since your gun is able to do more work. This also includes the Chinese and the Israeli captured. But when facing Germany, when facing the British, Japs, Italians, your main gun will basically be able to kill everything from the side. Just to keep in mind. But all the heavy tanks in your down term, just use your toes. Don't be afraid to use them, but just know you can use your gun way more often than you actually think. So Eastern Europe, gonna move down this road, and you can always catch enemies off guard when going down these roads, since you're gonna be focused on pushing towards capture point C. So basically free kill every time you play on Eastern Europe. As you notice, we did get shot at, so we're not gonna be unnecessarily aggressive. We're just gonna pop smoke, pull back, and use another avenue of approach. So you always want to try to shoot at the sides of the enemies in the Bradley, since you know you can use your gun way more effectively that way. So we're gonna follow this 040, using the forest and the hills as a cover, since we don't just wanna push out in the open, and that's a very easy way for us to get killed. And now with the BMP3 we can actually move up towards the middle, and we should be able to get shots on the sides of most enemies at C and the guys pushing towards and then well.
Target, cease fire!
So with the Jaguar 2 now eliminated, we're gonna try to put ourselves in a position where we can both engage the enemies going towards C and still have eyes on the B, while still being able to retreat if that is necessary. So we're gonna use this ridge here and use the forest as some sort of cover, and we're gonna start picking off the enemy's second wave.
400. Target, cease fire! Target, cease fire!
So now we are in a pretty shitty position. The enemies have started to attack C. We are basically point blank range with a M60, and we're at the front of the pack. So all the enemies are basically going to be focused at us. So now you need to pick and choose your battles very carefully. And since we knocked out some crew on this M60, I decided to be just super aggressive, hoping that this would work, and it does work as we get a tow right on him. Starting to help the friendlies at sea, picking off a leopard. But now I decided I'm not gonna survive here anymore, and I popped smoke, starting to retreat to hopefully get a better angle on the guys at sea. Now pushing back towards sea, we need to get this object 279 out of the game, since he's wreaking havoc on our team, and we're basically the only one who has a chance of killing him consistently with our toes. So we're gonna put ourselves in a good position and ambush him once he gets out capture point. So when I killed the object 279E, I decided to just leave the capturing of point C to the friendlies who were already pushing towards it, and go over and help trying to defend capture point Bravo. Now pushing into capture point B very aggressively wasn't the best play on my part, as we find a B72, and here I just wasn't patient enough. So yeah, my fault, I died. I should have taken it way more carefully, but that is basically the end of the game. So that is the end of the video. I do hope you enjoyed watching that one, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.